Today we're going to do lesson 6.12 where we are adding and subtracting fractions and mixed numbers in number stories. We know this is an important skill because numbers or fractions and mixed numbers happen in real life. Today we're going to start with math pages 220 to 222. We're going to do numbers 1 and 2 on page 220. So pause the video and get out your math journals to page 220. Okay, for number 1, it says write a number model with an unknown to represent the problem, then solve. Jamila's full backpack weighed 10 and 1/4 pounds. Before leaving for school, she added a 1-subject notebook. Now her backpack weighs 11 pounds. How much does the 1-subject notebook weigh? As we know, it's always important to underline your important information. So I'm going to underline the 10 and 1/4 pounds that her backpack weighed. And then she added a 1-subject notebook. And now her backpack weighs 11 pounds. So we need to figure out how much that 1-subject notebook still weighs. So we are going to solve out this problem. Okay, knowing that the backpack originally weighed 11 pounds and the backpack weighed 11 pounds at the end and had weighed 10 and 1/4 pounds at the beginning before she added her 1-subject notebook, I know that I need to subtract the end weight from the beginning weight to determine what that 1-subject notebook still weighed. So we are going to subtract. Right here, I cannot do 11 wholes minus 10 wholes because I still have the 1/4 pounds left over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 11 pounds and I'm going to borrow from it, creating it as 10 and 4/4 of a pound. Now I can subtract my 10 and 1/4 pound. So once we do this, I can take my 10 wholes minus my 10 wholes, so that I'm going to have 0 wholes left over, and 4/4 minus 1/4 equals 3/4. So I know that our 1-subject notebook is 3/4 of a pound. So now we're going to fill out our number models on our math journal. So my number model with the unknown, we're going to go ahead and write what we did earlier, which is 11 pounds minus our 10, 1/4 pounds. And I like to use n since we're solving for the notebook. So my answer is going to be 3/4 of a pound. So now we're going to go down here. I'm going to erase these answers so it doesn't drag along with us. And we're going to answer these questions down below on whether or not this 1-subject notebook weighs more or less than 8 ounces. So we need to think about what we know about pounds and ounces. And I know that there are 16 ounces in 2 pounds. 1 pound, sorry. So if I know that there are 16 ounces in 1 pound, and we only had 1/4 of a pound, or 3/4 of a pound, we need to determine if that is going to be more or less than 8 ounces. So I'm going to think about what else I know. If 16 ounces are in 1 pound, then 1/2 or 2/4 of a pound is going to have to equal 8 ounces. Okay. So if we have 3/4 of a pound, that is greater than 2/4 of a pound. So it is going to weigh more than 8 ounces. And so we need to do our explanation. So how do we know? I know that the 1-subject notebook weighs more than 8 ounces because 8 ounces is equal to 1/2 of a pound and 3/4 of a pound is greater than 1/2 pound. So be sure to fill in your explanation for that one, and then we will take a look at problem number 2. Number 2, Carter's empty backpack weighed 1 3/4 pounds. He filled it with a 3 2/4 pound science book and a 2/4 pound recorder, a 1/4 pound calculator, and a 1 1/4 pound notebook. How much does the filled backpack weigh? I'm going to start by going through and underlining my important information. So his empty backpack was 1 3/4 pounds. He had a 3 2/4 pound science book, a 2/4 pound recorder, a 1/4 pound calculator, and a 1 1/4 pound notebook. We need to determine how much the filled backpack now weighs using this information. One of the things I noticed as I was going through and underlining my important information is that we have common denominators. So that makes it much easier to add and subtract, as we know we have to have common denominators to do this. So I'm going to start with his empty backpack weighing 1 3/4 pounds. Since we know we want to determine the entire weight with all of the items, we're going to go ahead and add these together. So I'm going to add to it the 3 2/4 pound science book, the 2/4 pound recorder, the 1/4 pound calculator, the 1 1/4 pound notebook. I'm going to use my unknown for the letter B for the total weight of the backpack now. I like to start off by going through and adding my whole numbers first. So I'm going to add my whole numbers of 1, 3, and 1. So I get a whole number of 5, and we're now going to add our fractions. So I'm going to do 3/4 plus 2/4 is going to be 5/4, plus 2 more fourths is 7/4, plus 1/4 is 8/4, plus another 1/4 is 9/4. So I now have a number of 5 9/4. Because this is an improper fraction, we do not want to leave it this way. I know that 9/4, that 4 can go into 9 a total of 2 times. So that means I now have 2 more wholes, which is going to now be 7 wholes. And that would be 4/4 and another 4/4, which is 8/4. So I have 1/4 left over. So the total weight of his backpack is going to be 7 1/4 pounds. Now we need to look down below at part C, which is that we need to convert these to ounces. As you'll recall, in number 1, we had figured out that there were 16 ounces in 1 pound. So if I know there are 16 ounces in 1 pound, then I know that in a 1/2 pound, there's going to be 8 ounces. But we aren't just dealing with halves, we're also dealing with fourths. So remember that 1/2 is the same as 2/4. So if we were to break this down even further to determine what 1/4 of a pound would be, I would want to divide my 8 ounces in half, which means that we are going to get 4 ounces in 1/4 of a pound. So we now need to go through and determine each of these different items. So if his science book weighs 3 2/4 pounds, for my 3 wholes, I can do 3 times 16. And then I want to add to that my 8 extra ounces because we also have 2/4 of a pound. So we're going to get 56 ounces for those once we multiply together, plus the 8 ounces is going to equal a total of 56 ounces for his science notebook. Then for the recorder is 2/4 of a pound, And based on our chart, we know that there are 8 ounces in 2/4. Then we have a calculator, which is 1/4 of a pound. And as we broke that down, we noticed that there are 4 ounces in 1/4. The last one we need to determine is his 1 pound, or his 1 1/4 pound notebook. So once again, we know that in 1 pound there's 16 ounces, plus in our 1/4 there are 4 ounces. So his notebook is going to be 20 ounces. So be sure to read each problem carefully to finish up the rest of this page, as well as page 221, to use these fractions and mixed number stories. And then you have math boxes on page 222. Remember to submit these to your teacher in the Google Classroom when finished. Good luck.